Okay, there has been a lot of elite haters in popular media. Reverse Flash, Lex Luthor, Kendrick Lamar. But I'm here to talk about someone who doesn't get mentioned in the Haters Hall of Fame, Gustavo Fring. He is without a doubt one of the greatest haters of all time. He would go out of his way time and time again to enact revenge on his ops. He had an eternal grudge against the cartel, but specifically with Hector Salamanca. He worked for the cartel, and he would not rest until he killed every single breathing Salamanca. So it all began 20 years ago when Don Eladio ordered Hector to kill Max, Gus's friend. Friend? I'm pretty sure they were dating. But anyway, it was at this moment he swore eternal hatred against Hector and the entire cartel. His hate for Hector was so personal that when Mike had his own beef with Hector because Hector threatened his family, Mike then tried to off Hector with a sniper. Gus interfered with a secret warning telling him not to do it. I'm crying, man. Gus hates Hector so much, he basically said, "Nah, Mike, that's my lick, not yours." But hey, you can fuck up his business though. So he gives Mike a cocaine connect so he can plant the drugs on one of Hector's trucks so they get confiscated by the feds. And that severely slows down Hector's drug operation. So because of this, Gus, Hector, and Don Bolsa have a meeting to resolve the tension about all of this. But then Hector starts crashing about some BS and has a heart attack because of it. And this man Gus gives Hector CPR and is like, "Hey, you know where you dying right now on me, bro. If you're gonna die, it gotta be by my hands." So the doctor tells them that Hector will be in a coma and he might never wake up from it. And then Gus volunteered to spend hundreds of thousands of his own money to hire a specialist from freaking Johns Hopkins to make sure Hector survives. Wait, why is she kinda... Sorry, I lost my composure there for a second. Yeah, Gus hires a special doctor to take care of Hector. I mean, this is just S-tier hating. Reviving your op just so you can keep on torturing them is crazy. So while Gus is in the hospital, he tells this gut-wrenching story to Hector about when he was a kid. He caught this animal that had been eating his fruit. The animal injured its leg trying to escape, and instead of him to put the animal out of its misery, he let it suffer to death. Keep in mind, Gus is a child in this story. What kind of child is this? Bro's been a menace straight out the womb. Keep in mind, Hector is in a coma at this point, and Gus knows that he can't hear a single word he's saying, but he tells the story anyway. He's just hating for the love of the game at this point. So after some time with the specialist, Hector starts getting better, and the doctor shows a video to Gus about Hector's improvements. And this was really funny because Gus sees Hector intentionally spill a cup of water so he can see the nurse's ass as she bends down to pick it up. And Gus immediately realizes that Hector is still cognitively active and is still aware of his surroundings. And just like the story he gave earlier, he decides to leave Hector in this state and completely cut out the treatment, even though the doctor tells him that Hector could possibly make a full recovery. Man, this was so diabolical. He left Hector in a state worse than death just so he can be alive while Gus smokes his entire family. And he started this with his nephew, Lalo. He sends a bunch of assassins to kill Lalo at his house. Bro, he's just one guy and he's sending out an entire SWAT team to take him out. But then we realized Gus wasn't even doing too much. If anything, he didn't do enough because Lalo survived. Now, I don't know what kind of Timo-ass assassins Gus hired, because how sorry did those guys have to be defeated by literally one dude? So Lalo obviously goes back for revenge. He holds Gus at gunpoint and records proof for Don Eladio of Gus building a super lab to produce his own drugs and cut out the cartel. Then Gus says, "Hold up, before you kill me, can I at least say my last words of what I think of you guys?" Lalo says, "Sure." And Gus goes on this long rant, spilling out his entire hatred for the cartel and especially the Salamancas. He called all of them some whores for real. He also talked about how he intentionally left Hector alive and paralyzed so he can be alive for the killing of all his relatives. Man, this was some spine-tingling stuff. I almost felt bad for the Salamancas. But as this was going on, Gus distracts Lalo by turning off the lights and then he slimes Lalo out. That's one Salamanca body added to the count. So we fast forward to Breaking Bad and Gus's Salamanca hate has only grown. That's right, this man's hate transcends across TV shows. Hector is almost basically paralyzed and his twin nephews want to kill Walter because they think he killed his other nephew, Tuco. Gus refuses to give up Walt until he's done working for him. Hector is pissed as hell, he's spamming his bell like crazy, but the twins keep badgering Gus about Walt. And he finally gives up and is like, "Okay, nigga, damn. You can have his brother-in-law, Hank Schrader. He's the one that actually killed your cousin Tuco, not Walt." The twins are like, "Word? Okay then, send us the addy." I mean, the twins never really talk, but I like to imagine they will sound like this anyway. Gus tells them how to get to Hank. But this man Gus, with hate being the only thing he knows, sets the twins up. He warns Hank just before the attack, and Hank turns into freaking prime John Wick, kills one of them, and puts the other one in a wheelchair, just like his uncle. Straight up shatters his leg. And this was some crazy 90 chess from Gus. By informing Hank, it ensures Hank survives, and then the DEA will be all over the Salamanca's asses for trying to kill one of their agents. But the scheme works even better than he planned, because one of them got killed and the other one's now eligible to compete in the Paralympics. But all this still isn't enough for Gus. He ended up ordering Mike to kill the surviving twin before he can talk to the cartel about what just happened. That's now 3 Salamancas Gus has smoked, and he ain't done getting his lick back, by the way. The very same day, he arranges with the Mexican federales to raid Don Bolso's mansion and accidentally kill him in the process. Remember, all this hate was fueled by Eladio, Hector, and Bolsa killing his homie in 1989. A whole 20 years ago. That beef's almost as old as me, and Gus never let that shit slide. This is what the trolls on Twitter wanted Lil Durk to do when King Von got killed. So anyway, Don Bolsa gets sprayed, Gus hits this supervillain ass smile, and he is now 4 for 4 on smoking his ops, and you best believe he is not yet done. So we move on to the grand finale of Gus's hater plans. You see, at this point, the cartel has been attacking Gus's business for a while now, because he's cutting them out and is doing business only for himself. They attacked his operations time and time again, then he finally decides to put an end to it all. So he travels back to Mexico to give the cartel the Krabby Patty secret formula for the blue meth by making Jesse cook for them. This was really just a plot, a ruse, a facade, a scheme to kill Don Eladio and the rest of the cartel once and for all. He does this by giving Eladio a bottle of alcohol as a gift. A bottle which has poison in it, by the way, which Eladio suspects, but Gus drinks the poison so that Eladio and the rest of them will also drink it. This man Gus poisoned himself, risked his own life just so his ops will drink the poison as well. Man, you know you've reached the final frontier of hating when you're willing to risk your own life as long as your enemies go down with you. Damn, I don't think I'm hating hard enough. So Gus senses that the poison will start kicking in soon, and he makes up an excuse to go to the bathroom so he can throw up the poison. And as he's in there, he does this fancy ass preparation. He folds and lays down his jacket on the counter. He puts his glasses on the counter. He lays a towel on the floor to kneel on. Man, I ain't never seen nobody do all this setup just to throw up in a damn toilet. And as he's in there, the poison starts working and all his ops are dropping like flies. Gus walks outside straight, aura farming. He sees his plan working perfectly. His enemies are falling one by one, and I know he was geeked as hell on the inside. He stares Don Eladio in the eyes as he takes his final breath and falls into the same pool his homie Max bled into. So Mike snatches Eladio's chain and Gus starts feeling the effect of the poison. But that doesn't stop him from continuing his aura farming by giving this short but badass speech in Spanish to the rest of the remaining people in the mansion. Man, that speech was so hard, bro. I remember I used to randomly say it in my mind when I first watched it. And I don't even speak Spanish. And as they're making their escape, Mike gets shot by Joaquin, but Jesse immediately starts shooting back and kills him. This was the last relative Hector had, and now he's dead. Gus succeeded. He finally avenged his partner Max after 20 whole years. Like I said, he hated all of them, but the hate he had for Hector was a different breed. As we saw, he only killed Bolsa and Eladio because they were involved in killing Max. But for Hector, no. He didn't even kill him. He tortured him by keeping him paralyzed for almost a decade, and then, one by one, dropped all his family members. This was a generational lick back. And as if that wasn't enough, he goes to Hector's nursing home to rub it in his face that he had just killed his last remaining family member and the entire cartel. This was crazy. He showed Hector Don Eladio's chain. He's telling him that your last relative, his grandson Joaquin, was also killed. Damn, he almost had the boomer in tears. He was flexing on Hector the same way dudes on Fortnite would celebrate after no-scoping you. So back in the primary plot, Walt's still trying to kill Gus, so he partners up with Hector to slime out Gus. These dudes couldn't be any more different. They have nothing in common, except for a mutual hatred for Gustavo Fring. Niggas who literally come out of anywhere just to hate. Walt's plan was essentially for Hector to commit a suicide bombing that will kill both Gus and himself. Seeing that Hector has literally nothing else to live for, he accepts the plan. He baits Gus into coming to visit him by pretending to talk to the DEA. Gus falls for it and visits him. Remember, the scoreboard between them at this point is like 4-1 for Gus. But Hector, from behind, does a generational comeback and levels up the scoreboard. He nukes both himself and Gus. This was so crazy on first watch. I haven't seen a comeback this wild since Liverpool cooked Barcelona in 2019. And I can't lie, I felt a little bad for Gus. It looked like his master revenge plan was all but a formality, but Hector came out of nowhere from the top rope to land the final blow. Alright, that's enough yapping for one day. I'm gonna go watch some Arrested Development. See you guys in the next vid.